Manel and Julia came to congratulate Sister Belen and her son on Christmas. Manel shows the guy his cat Lucalo, which he watches through an automatic feeder. On the way home, a quarrel occurs between Manel and Julia, which is why Julia did not follow the road and almost crashes into a car. The couple takes a deep breath and prepares to continue on their way. But there is a truck crashing into the car. Julie didn't survive the accident. A year later, the authorities begin to discuss the topic of closing borders. Daniel, the Director General of Security, says that there are clashes with the police at the border, and the incidence of the Tulsi virus has exceeded all calculations. There are a couple of days left before more radical measures. Because of this news, the city is very empty. Many are afraid to leave their apartments. Some politicians suggest that biological weapons are to blame, but he assures that the cause of the outbreak was abandoned laboratories of the USSR. Manel comes to the pier where Maria was waiting for him. She wants to buy his boat. A little later, Manel goes shopping, where Belen calls him every now and then, but Manel does not pick up the phone. Residents buy up absolutely everything, which is why the store rules no more than 2 units of goods in one hand. The panic is getting worse by the minute. The head of the Ministry of Health appeared on television. He announces that there have been 2 cases of infection in the city, but they are keeping everything under control. After folding the purchases, Mandel calls his sister. Her husband Mario, who works in the military, takes the guy away. Manel says that he never sold the boat. The girls wanted something more modern. Anyway, Helen reports that thanks to Mario's work, they are being transferred to the Canary Islands, so that they can wait there for the end of the epidemic. Mario thinks he should check the communication systems, but they didn't tell him anything else. Belen wants Manel to go with them because he is completely alone. Mean answers, in fact, he was lucky. After considering the offer, he still packs up and goes to the airport with the cat. Manel sees how all his neighbors are also packing up and going somewhere. All because of the news about the mutation of the virus, which put the European authorities in a difficult position. The mutation dramatically shortens the incubation period from a couple of minutes to several hours. The method of transmission can be contact with infected people, including a bite. However, the airborne transmission is not fixed. And all this happened last night. A little later, Manel is preparing to board, but as soon as one of the girls' document showed a red light, the entire flight of risk was cancelled, followed by all the others. Emergency notification is received on the phones. Because of the panic, the man runs into the plane, followed by a security guard. Belen called her brother with the news that the virus had mutated again. Now the incubation period is a maximum of a few minutes. He needs to run home. Due to the closure of all possible ways of leaving the city, a huge traffic jam of several kilometers has formed. While the military is beginning to stay in the city, the radio reports that 2 officers were attacked by a man, and they urgently needed evacuation. Manel understands that it is pointless to stand in such traffic jams, which is why he takes the cat and goes home on foot. It was only towards nightfall that he reached the city. Ambulances are loitering from side to side, all because of the house that the soldiers have quarantined. Manel wants to ask what is going on here at all, but the soldiers ask not to approach them, as they are taking the infected out of the house. Manel is amazed to see a distraught neighbor. A new day is coming. Belen says the authorities want to make safe zones and move people there. But critical voices are heard inside the army because the more people in one place, the more infected. There have already been examples in Belgium. Manello is much more profitable to stay at home. They say on TV that Munich is under full quarantine, and this is not the first city in Europe. Thanks to social networks, you can see what horror is happening in those cities. At the same time, that not only in Europe, but also in the USA, one of the men came up with a way to hide from the infected, so that they could not bite him. How suddenly the whole of Spain gets emergency status. The population can be mobilized. Manel decides to go to the store. Their people have already forgotten about all the rules and started looting. All Manel gets his dog food while fighter jets fly over the city. A couple of minutes later, a man crashes into him. The zombie is already there. Manel tries to save the man, but almost becomes dinner himself, if he had not been saved by a wounded policeman. Another policeman, who has locked himself in the store, has already turned, and Manel understands that he needs to run. The president reports that the level of the disease is out of control around the world. All cities with a population of over 400,000 people are now a quarantine zone. The only thing citizens can do now is to follow all the orders of the military. Manal realizes that no one but him will help him, which is why he begins to equip his house for future defense. And a video surveillance camera is made from an automatic feeder. At night, the soldiers announce the beginning of evacuation. Refusal to cooperate will entail consequences. Manal is thinking of getting on the bus, but his sister forbade him to do it. They'll save him soon. It's good that Manal has solar panels and batteries installed, so he wouldn't have electricity at all. There are practically no food supplies. We have to make a sortie for supplies, armed with a harpoon. He thought there were no more neighbors here, which is why he searches several houses until he stumbles upon a woman. Gabriella points to the house where there should definitely be food. She saw how their residents brought packages into the house and then left with the soldiers. It is unlikely that they had time to eat everything. After searching the point given to her, he even finds a motorcycle with keys, which increases the search area. Even so, the catch is very meager. But Manet found two walkie-talkies. He keeps one for himself and gives the other to the woman. After a while, Manal enters the new house and hears someone walking behind him. Shooting from a U-turn, he almost kills the man, who runs away with fright. But there was food in this house that could be shared with Gabriella. In the dead of night, he will be Gabriella with a request to turn on the radio. According to him, someone sends a message to all the survivors and the place where their shelters are located. Their supplies are almost at zero and Manal offers to take a chance. Gabriella is afraid that because of her disability she will be a burden. But Manal assures her that he will do everything possible to help her. By morning, he had collected everything he needed, but Gabriella stopped responding. Manal runs to her house and finds a note. Thank you for all these days, as she made the decision to leave this world and not interfere with Manal. As soon as he leaves the house, he is attacked by a zombie. Manal loads the harpoon and fires. Fearing that now the harpoon can be dangerous, he processes it with boiling water, simultaneously writing down a message to his sister that he is going to reach the shelter. On the way out of the city, he stumbles upon an abandoned military checkpoint, which is no longer there. Infected people are running away in our engine. Manella rides out to the human camp. They thought it would be safer in the forest, but it was a mistake. The motorcycle breaks down. Because of that, the pier is already very close, and Manal manages to lock himself behind bars. However, there is another problem. All the boats were stolen. In the store, he takes everything that can be useful and notices a boat standing alone. Taking off his shoes, he swims to check the boat, which does not start, and there is a zombie child sitting at the bottom. There is only one thing left, to use an inflatable boat. Russians find him late at night. They take him to their scow, where Lucas and Manal can eat. Then he gives him a small coyote. Tomorrow Manal should tell them where to find supplies. Manal asks if they have found any other survivors. Victor assures me that there is not. But at night, there are new refugees, among whom there were girls. In the morning, Manal sees none of them. Victor pretends that no one was there at night, but then why was their boat on board? And he keeps one of the doors under lock and key. Manal understands what's in his mouth and asks Victor to tell the truth. And Victor turned out to be kinder than the other guys and gives advice to keep a low profile. Then Manal is in no danger. In the late afternoon, he collects his things and tries to escape with the cat. However, the desire to find out what was below was much stronger. He frees a man who was too loud. To the sounds comes the sailor eliminating. Together with him was Victor, who stands up for Manila and eliminates the bandit. They try to get on the boat unnoticed and leave, but they are seen. They open fire, and one of them hits Victor. There were several cars on the shore, one of which was with a key. The trio rushes to the hospital, where there should be a helicopter. Victor knows how to control it and, in theory, should take them to the island. It is obvious that at the very beginning, all the patients were taken there, which is why zombies are running everywhere. After eliminating the first wave, he is about to pull the bullet out of Victor, but notices girls playing on the upper floors. Mattia asks them to help Victor. It remains to escape from the medical staff and hide in a safe zone. A little later, it is possible to stabilize Victor, but the fever will subside for at least one day. The nurse adds that there is still a helicopter near the hospital. He's in a zombie-strewn quarantine zone. It's too dangerous to go there. Thinking over a plan of action, messages begin to arrive on the phone from his sister, who is still waiting for him. Shots are heard in the distance. The bandits track them down. We need to get to the helicopter before them. Not without victims, one of the nurses gets bitten. Maine recalls a video where a man talked about a safe way to travel. There is a critical flaw in their methodology. The top is not covered by anything. Zombies try to climb up to them, but the axe turns out to be a good argument to retreat. Everyone climbs the helicopters and starts it up. At this moment, bandits run into the quarantine zone and make their way through the infected. Ari's head orders the chopper to be silenced. Mother Ya understands that he has no other way out, but he opens the grate, letting in the infected. There were too many of them, and the bandits are dying. All who survived, the mother does not eliminate and jumps on the stairs. It would seem that this is a victory, but on the approach to the island, it is possible to catch a signal from Balin, who asks his brother not to approach the island while fighters with bombs are flying over them. But this is where the film comes to an end. We will be glad to have your like. Bye.